Hi everyone, a warm welcome to this channel named A Temple of Thoughts. We have plenty of temples for worship, religious temples. It's high time we create temples of thought. To me, thinking is a sacred experience. It is sacred because thinking is the root of human freedom. But thinking has to be undertaken in the discipline that is appropriate to it. We can also indulge in destructive thinking, which is actually not free thinking. True freedom is the freedom to express what is right, noble, and beautiful about you, about others, about life in general. If you think about how to malign others, how to corrupt a society, how to destroy the beauty of life, that you're not thinking freely, you're thinking as a slave to negativity. How can negativity be the framework of human freedom? It's a tremendous contradiction in terms. I commend this to your continued thought and reflection. So this is a temple of thought, my dear friends. In this temple of thought, we assemble every day. I try to be as frequent a visitor as possible to this temple so that you will see at least 4 to 5 videos posted every day on this temple, on this YouTube temple. And I'm glad that so many of you are benefiting from it, and I appreciate that sense of solidarity we have in the pursuit of what is excellent, noble, and beautiful. I suggest that right now we think about the soul of nation building as far as India is concerned. I'm addressing this video primarily to my fellow Indians without recognizing any label of difference or distinction or separation. We are one. Now, what is it that India needs first and foremost? India needs a sense of keen appreciation about human worth. You can think of a country in terms of the land, in terms of GDP, in terms of its landmark infrastructure, creations. All that will amount to nothing if the people of the country are not built up. The true strength of a nation is its people. Now, if you think of Europe, say the 18th, 19th centuries, the distinction and the privilege attached to nations was largely in terms of the quality of thought produced by those nations. So Germany had great preeminence for some time. France had preeminence for some time. England also had preeminence for some time based on the quality of thought. And quality of thought pertains to the development of the people. When people don't develop, and our capacity to think remains rudimentary, then we may talk about excellence, but we will never attain it. As a result, we may be reduced to the pathetic state of cultivating what I call cosmetic excellence. That's not the theme for this video. I'll deal with it specially in the next video. By cosmetic excellence, I mean excellence that is not innate and genuine. It is just put up, like in the application of cosmetics to a worn-out face. And the industrial application or the economic application of that is what is called Make in India, where some kind of excellence is showcased, but it's not excellence that blossomed in the Indian soil. It's borrowed from somewhere else, like what we do in cosmetics. Well, that's subject for another day. Now, when we think of the people, we know that the most fundamental need a human being has is the need to be valued and cherished. Now, to be valued and cherished, we have to recognize the worth of a human being. Now, we have different ways of determining the worth of human beings. Unfortunately, what we have in practice is the hierarchical notion of human worth. So different sort of levels of worth are attributed to people in different categories. The problem here is that this abolishes the sense of the intrinsic worth of human beings. Now, intrinsic worth means the worth you have simply on account of being a human being, irrespective of the labels or accidents of wealth or birth or the group to which you belong, the nation to which you belong, and all of the markers of social, political, cultural distinction that people flaunt. You are an invaluable soul. And if you look into the history of the development of human rights discourse originated in Europe, as you know, you will realize that the fundamental driving force behind the evolution of the human rights discourse is the sense of the human worth. How can there be rights without worth? I tell you for a fact, in a society where human worth is not recognized, the effort to cultivate human rights will prove futile. And what's happening in our country and in many countries in Africa and Asia will prove the truth of what I'm saying. But that be. When I think of this great adventure of nation building that Modi, Shah and their colleagues or associates have announced or launched, first of all, my heart fills with excitement and respect. Honestly, I'm excited about it. At the same time, I'm also equally apprehensive. And in this video, I'm going to focus mainly on why I'm apprehensive. I'm apprehensive because, on the basis of the evidence available to me, and I don't claim that this evidence is definitive and final, but I can only reflect based on the evidence available to me. This idea, the Modi-Shah combined idea of nation building, is focused almost exclusively on the material dimension of it. The human dimension seems to be neglected. That, I believe, is a great and terrible mistake. It's going to be counterproductive. What we need to do is to prioritize the building of human worth. Now, as an American citizen, if you go anywhere in the world, you are recognized, you carry some weight. As an Indian, you go somewhere, till recently, now it's changing, thank God it's changing. And I have to accept that Prime Minister Modi has played a positive role in this. As an Indian, you go somewhere, you're always a second-class citizen. Well, you are a second-class citizen in India in relation to a foreigner. If you stand with a white man even today, you are inferior. That's because, not only because we have been despoiled through centuries of domination and exploitation by overseas forces, it's also because, and I think even more fundamentally because, we have not developed the sense of human worth. On the other hand, we are today busy propagating a political culture which revels in undermining the sense of human worth through the culture of through the promotion of a culture of or a politics of hate and spreading alienation. The fundamental psychological and spiritual principle is you cannot appreciate or believe in your own worth if you do not believe in and accept the worth of all others who are your fellow citizens, indeed, fellow human beings. To despise, degrade, and reject the worth of a fellow human being is also to do the same thing in relation to you. The philosophical principle may be put like this: what you do to others, that you do also to you. You cannot hate someone else without hating yourself. You cannot kill somebody without killing your own conscience. It is this organic nature of our interrelationships that's being lost sight of because we are all being colonized by this political rhetoric of hate and alienation. And it's curious to think that nation building can be undertaken from this very mindset. It can be undertaken, but rest assured, and I say this with a fair degree of conviction based on historical evidence, the outcome will be chaos. And we are not going to look smart if we pursue and persevere on this path. And therefore, when I think of the building of a new India, the picture that comes to my mind, or the image that comes to my mind, is from a parable that Jesus taught. By the way, Jesus had a profound political sense, but theologians have not been able to understand it and expound it aright. I propose to do some work on this, and I'll make many videos based on this. Now, think of a parable that Jesus taught, and it's known by the name Parable of the Lost Sheep. The details can be very quickly recounted. A man had 100 sheep, and one of them was lost. He left the 99 and went in search of the sheep that was lost. And he searched everywhere, ultimately found it. And then he came back, and then he rejoined the 99 that he had left. Now, from a calculating economic bookkeeping point of view, the man did something extremely foolish. But from the point of view of humanity, from the point of view of human worth, he did something very profound. He did the only thing that was right. The point is this: if that lone lost sheep has no value, then this 99 also will have no value, because the 99 is also made up of 99 individual sheep, and they could all be lost one after the other. When the 99th is lost, the shepherd will say the same thing: it doesn't matter, I've got 98 left. Then he would say, I have 97 left, 95 left, 53 left, 44 left, 10 left, 9 left, 2 left, then what? This is the wisdom that's conspicuously absent from the way the Indian government is looking at the Manipur tragedy. Manipur is today the lost sheep. Sadly, we don't have a shepherd who goes after the lost sheep. That's a tragedy. That's a heartbreak of Indian democracy at the present time. So my worry is that even as this great, exciting, historic adventure of building a new India is underway, the body is being built up, but the soul is absent. And we know that the body without the soul will putrefy. The body without the soul is called the corpse. Building the new India must be something more than building the body of India after the fashion of a corpse to be preserved like a mummy. It must become a living soul. And what can be the substance out of which that living soul can be spun? By the way, one of the very interesting books I read a long time ago was by a French author called Amaury de Reincourt. And the title of his book, I still remember, is The Soul of India. The Soul of India. Perhaps it's a title that Gandhi would have appreciated. Gandhi was, I would like to believe, aware of this book, because as far as I can remember, it was published in 1920, and Gandhi would have read it because he was a voracious reader. So, the soul of India. Do you think Modi, Shah combined, for all their good intentions, let us say, have the capacity to craft the soul of India? I'm afraid not. The soul of India cannot be crafted by one individual, two individuals, 100 very competent, supernaturally able individuals. That is a spiritual agenda. So let me close on this by saying that to me, the exciting agenda of building the new India must be conceived primarily as a spiritual agenda. And when you look at the world from the spiritual angle, What is it that you see first and foremost? It's not material structures. It's not tall buildings or impressive complexes like the new parliament building. It's not the Great Wall of China. What you see from the spiritual angle is people, 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 people. That must be the priority. India will be great when her people are built up to the optimum level. You know who said this? I'm not the first one to say this, by the way. This was said far more convincingly, effectively, dramatically by someone I greatly admire, Swami Vivekananda. Read his writings. Swami Vivekananda. Read his writings. Build the people of India. Build the people of India. That was his vision. And I fully endorse that vision. India will be automatically great if our people are great. If the infrastructure of India is developed to world-class standards and the people of India remain crude, underdeveloped and backward, will become a mockery in the eye of the world. I'm afraid the emerging signs and trends are not particularly flattering. I don't want to go into details. I only want to flag my concern here as a true patriot who believes in the incomparable and immense destiny of India. And on this occasion, I'm reminded of an author who is after my heart, the Russian novelist Fyodor Dostoevsky. Dostoevsky used to say that Russia has a spiritual destiny which needs to be fulfilled for the sake of humanity at large. Unfortunately, Dostoevsky's vision was not fulfilled. Russia lost its vision. It went into other ways with consequences that are too well known to be recounted. Maybe India's turn has come. Let's be wiser for the example of Russia. Today I say, as a patriot, as someone who is really excited about the prospects that my country has, someone who ardently believes in the genius of the Indian people, I say with hand on my heart that India has a spiritual destiny, a glorious spiritual destiny which needs to be fulfilled for the sake of humanity at large. Only when we actually engage with that task will we really take a step closer to becoming Vishwaguru. Today, we talk about being the Vishwaguru in such a complacent and in fact childish manner that we become Vishwaguru without the rationale for it, just like that. Overnight we decide that we are Vishwagurus and we think that we are indeed Vishwagurus. This is what's called wishful thinking. Wishful thinking is all right as a kind of pastime. No one will take it seriously. People beyond our border, as Indians, we are obliged to believe in certain things just because we are asked to believe in it and never to say anything to the contrary, such being the scope of freedom in India at the moment. But across the borders of India, people will laugh at you. Yes, India has the potential to be Vishwaguru, but we need to build it up. And these humble thoughts that I am offering, at serious risk of being disapproved, disliked, in fact, as labeled anti-national, these thoughts are offered in the hope that they would make some sense in the process of reorienting India from wishful thinking to a serious pursuit and an active engagement with the role that destiny wills us to play. That's Vishwaguru, no doubt about it. Let's not be apologetic about it. But in order to play this role, we have to ready ourselves, we have to prepare ourselves. That process is not accomplished by building 1,000 impressive structures like the new parliament building or erecting heaven-kissing statues like the statue of Sardar Patel and the Statue of Unity or 1,000 other things like that. It's accomplished only by making the people of India great. And it's a matter of time before we decide if the Modi-Shah combine has in it the capacity to build the people of India. We wait for an answer And I sincerely hope that the answer will be in the affirmative. I hope. Thank you.